hi everybody. Welcome to Webinar Wednesday. I think most of you have been on here before, but I just want to mention some housekeeping things. This is being recorded and will be archived on our website in the same area where you found the link on how to get onto here. The CEU request will be with that as well. That should all be up by tomorrow, at the end of the workday tomorrow, and give me a few days to send your CEU request. We have Love Your Brain here with us today, or RJ is representing Love Your Brain. But then February 10th, we have Post-Acute Medical, which was formerly Cobalt, and they're located in Fargo, a rehabilitation hospital. They're going to give us kind of a virtual tour and kind of explain some of the services that they offer. And then we have February 24th, Alla Lisk, who's a functional neurologist, also in the Fargo area, is going to come on and talk about some kind of the main symptoms of brain injury and how she looks at resolving those. And then we do have all the way scheduled through April right now. So I'm pretty excited about that. But those will all be up very soon too. So yes, keep us on your calendar for every other Wednesday. All right, well, I think that's about it from me, but I would like to introduce Renee Lisander, and I will let you take it away. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi. Thank you so much for having me here and giving me the opportunity to represent Love Your Brain. I'm really excited to share this program. I do know some of you may have already heard about the program or worked with some of the representatives. So today's presentation might be a review for some, but hopefully we'll go a little bit deeper into one of the newer programs that we are offering through COVID and beyond, hopefully. And there will also be a 25-30 minute chair yoga session that I will offer at the end of the session to give you an idea of how yoga poses are modified and adapted for traumatic brain injury. So there's nothing you need to do or no special setup for that. You can practice from your chair as long as you have a little bit of room to move your arms. Okay. Before I dive into the presentation, I'll just give you a really quick introduction to myself. My name is Renee Lisander. Everyone calls me RJ, so you can call me either. I have a pretty informal presentation style, so if you have a question, please take yourself off mute. And if I don't know the answer, I will find the person who does have the answer for you. I came to Love Your Brain about 3 years ago. I am a yoga and meditation teacher, and I own a niche yoga studio in Chapel Hill. I work with all bodies, but primarily with autoimmune and chronic pain. Kind of worked out that way. I think a lot of that is because I have an autoimmune disease, Hashimoto's, but I also have survived 2 traumatic brain injuries, 2 very serious ones. And the first one they thought was not one I was going to survive, and was very unlikely that I would be able to speak, walk, or graduate high school or college. And I have been able to do all of those things. Right. The second, thank you. I had a lot of help and support along the way for sure. I am truly lucky. The second accident, I was run over by a car. In college, I was crossing a crosswalk. And because the damage in the first injury was so severe to the front left lobe, the injury from the car accident was, other than kind of scrambling my sense of timeline and kind of giving me a weird form of amnesia, I was able to outgrow it within a couple of years with some sustained help. And as I got older, though, I did notice that there were some issues I was experiencing with balance as a result of the brain injury. And though I had done yoga and meditation for years, I was looking for something more specific to me, and found Love Your Brain and went to my first training with Love Your Brain just to kind of learn for myself, fell in love with what they were offering, and decided to come back to a studio here where I was contracting and said, you've got to see this program. We have to become an affiliate. And the owners did. They came to training with me, and we became the first studio in North Carolina to offer Love Your Brain in the in-studio version, the 6-week version. We had 3 very successful full programs prior to COVID. The studio has since closed down, sadly. And then I found out that Love Your Brain was going to transition through COVID and offer the mindset program. So of course I called them right away and said, how can I help? Right. And I'm here today to talk about how that happens. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Can I do that on my end? Okay, perfect. Give me a moment here to just pull up the presentation. This is the presentation that Love Your Brain has put together. So I am representing them in this. So it's a great presentation. Let me just get it to full screen here. There we go. And we're going to go into play mode. Excellent. Maybe. There we go. Okay. I did it. Excellent. So Love Your Brain was founded in 2000, right about 2009, right? I want to go down. There we go. After, I don't know if you guys are aware of any kind of follow any winter sports, right? In 2010, Kevin Pierce was supposed to represent the United States as an Olympic snowboarder. And in 2009, on a training run right before the Olympics, he had a very severe ski accident and a life-threatening traumatic brain injury. The road to recovery for Kevin was documented by The Crash Reel, a production put on by HBO. And if you haven't seen it, it is absolutely a no holds bar, behind the scene kind of true experience, what the family experienced, what Kevin experienced as he was going through his rehab. And really recognizing that his life was never going to be the same again. He was not going to continue on in life as an Olympic snowboarder. So one of the things that the family learned through this process was that even though every brain injury is different and everybody's ability to recover is different and dependent on so many factors, community and resilience helped get them through and helped Kevin get through. And so Kevin and his brother Adam decided that resilience and community were a pathway to healing, and wanted to figure out a way to offer back to the community that had given them so much. And from that, Love Your Brain. Oh, what just happened? All right, wait. Here we go. Love Your Brain Foundation and Love Your Brain Yoga were founded. So Love Your Brain Foundation is a nonprofit that really is there to provide resources and programs to help people with traumatic brain injury find resilience and community. And we're here today to talk about the yoga program, right, that goes with that. So I don't know how many of you have practiced yoga intermittently or routinely, but a lot of people ask, why yoga, right? Well, it's really easy. Our brains are so cluttered, right? In yoga, we call it monkey mind, right? We are ruminating. We are constantly questioning. We are having conversations with ourselves. And those conversations are impacting not only ourselves, but others. So when you have a traumatic brain injury and you're having these conversations with yourself and the answers are coming back very different than they used to, you can kind of feel a little bit like a fish out of water. And what yoga offers is a way to calm that, right? And it does it through a practice of mindfulness. And we'll go ahead and we'll talk about this calm in a moment, right? But what we're really talking about in yoga is a way to integrate our thoughts and our actions so that we become aware of them and we are moving with mindful attention. In English, the what is column is kind of a way where we look at moral observations, the way we are in the world, the way we interact in the world, and the ways that are appropriate to be in the world. We also have physical movement, breath, meditation as pathways to complete well-being, in the sense that when we are moving in unison with our breath and we are doing it mindfully, we have a moving meditation, which helps bring everything into balance by bringing us into the present moment. So we forget all of those nagging thoughts that are happening. And for that moment, we are in the present. And being in the present helps us to rewire the way the brain thinks and works. And I'm not a neurologist, and I'm going to rely on you guys to know more about that than I do. But it's an amazing process that comes with practice, right? It doesn't happen in one setting. It's something that you have to do routinely. Okay. So this is what is going on in most people's mind as they are starting in a yoga program, right? And if you are a yoga teacher, you're also wondering, what's the next pose? I think I forgot it, right? This is very common, right? And that's where we start our practice. But as we begin to integrate the mind and the body, we can use experience, past experience, to help bring us to the present and shape our future experiences. So we're going to do kind of a really quick exercise that talks a little bit about that. If you will indulge me for a moment, I will ask you to find a place where you can gaze gently at a fixed point, or close your eyes. Just feel your feet on the floor, right? Notice where your hands are and find some comfort in your seat. Just sit back for a moment. And just take a moment to notice your breath on the inhale and the exhale. And then in your mind's eye, see yourself walking into your kitchen. And on your kitchen counter is a great big bowl of perfectly ripe, beautiful lemons. See yourself in your mind's eye, noticing the color and the texture of the lemons. Notice how when you pick up a lemon, you start to feel the texture and experience it. You notice the plumpness of the lemon. And then in your mind's eye, see yourself taking out a knife and cutting board and slicing the lemon in half, noticing the smell and the juices. Perhaps becoming aware of the feel of the juice on your fingers, your skin. And now in your mind's eye, see yourself lifting half of the lemon and putting it into your mouth and taking a great big bite. And take a nice full breath in and exhale out. And go ahead and gently flutter your eyes open as you reacclimate to the light in the room. Right? And just take a moment to reflect on what you experienced in that meditation or that mindfulness awareness practice, right? You could see yourself walking into your kitchen. You could see yourself experiencing the lemon from the outside. And then almost everybody had a facial reaction to the biting into the lemon. That's the recall of memory, that tartness, right? That is an example of a mind-body connection, right? So we are in a present moment, remembering something through the present moment. Does that kind of make sense? Any questions? Yeah, pretty powerful. It can inspire confidence. It can also bring a little bit of fear, anger, or joy to anyone who is practicing these things, right? Because we know a way to walk into our kitchen. We don't know what we're going to be asked to do once we get there. And that can be very frustrating sometimes, right? Then there's a joy that we're back into something that is familiar, right? And this is something that we experience in different stages of our mindfulness practice. So it can be something that requires practice, right? And really allows us to experience the benefit going through all of these stages. So when we're talking about Love Your Brain and yoga and some of the healing benefits of this yoga program that has been put together for traumatic brain injury, we are really talking about improving attention skills by increasing the thickness of the prefrontal cortex, which is associated with focus and decision making, of course. Right? It's a way to augment and memory. It's changing the brain structures associated with memory, including the hippocampus, right? And it's just a wonderful way to improve self-esteem. When you are feeling like you're making better decisions, you have better memory, of course, you're going to feel more confident. This program then allows you to have a community around you. So you aren't always practicing alone. You are practicing with a community of people who are going through a traumatic brain injury, something similar to what you might be going through. So you have other people who you can talk to and who you can work with. Right. And that's really, really important. I know from my experience, I had wonderful doctors. I had the best family and amazing friends, but I couldn't explain to everyone why I couldn't remember what the letter A was or why it was significant. Right. And I didn't have a community of people to go to at that point. So learning a new way to speak and interact was something we did as a family together. But when you have a broader community of people who are experiencing that with you, you really do start to feel a greater sense of well-being. These regular practices of mindfulness, yoga, and meditation help to reduce mental fatigue, can reduce stress in the body, and it can boost strength, balance, endurance, and flexibility. Right. So that's pretty exciting and a lot to ask, I understand, for a process that we can't always explain scientifically, but we know there is a lot of research and growing body of research that is helping us to bring all of that together, science and that just that internal change that we start to feel. So Love Your Brain has a couple of different programs, and we're going to talk about those today, where we take all of these concepts of mindfulness, of awareness, and of community and resilience and bring them together in a 6-week yoga program that is designed specifically for traumatic brain injury, including concussion and caregivers. And one of them is through the mindset program, right? Love Your Brain Mindset is, we'll talk in more detail about it in a moment, but it is basically a 6-week online program that has been adapted from the studio program to allow people to cultivate mental flexibility, physical strength, positive thinking, a sense of community, even though we aren't all in the same space, and so much more. It's amazing, right? So the Love Your Brain Mindset program is online. It is a program that has been adapted from the studio program by Love Your Brain. Every instructor has gone through training on some of the ways to adapt the program, not only for the classes and the discussion, but to really bring into awareness and focus some of the challenges that may arise from the technology component that is added in. As many people know, those who have traumatic brain injury sometimes have a lot of sensitivity to light. They need to limit the time that they are on a computer screen, right? And sometimes just the steps to remember how to log on can be a challenge. So in the training, we all learn ways to help support that. The program itself is a free 6-week online program that's built upon the concept of resilience and community, which are the fundamentals of the program. Each participant will receive weekly 1-minute educational video, 10-minute meditations, 45-minute yoga class, a 25-minute yoga nidra, which is a type of meditation that is guided and directed by a voice, much like what I guided you through with the lemon experience. And then we build on that a discussion based on a theme, right? So the entire class is about 70, 75 minutes. And the first step is the video, which is really important. And it's a video that's 1 minute, and it introduces people to a resilient mindset. The first video is always on resilience itself, right? So it kind of sets the framework for what the theme for the class will be for the week. It is distributed in email, and people have 2 or 3 days to review it before class. And here's an example. I don't know if you can hear the volume. Can you hear it? No volume?
No, I can't.
Okay. Let me see.
Don't.
Okay. What I can do is I can send you, I can see if we can send you the 1 minute video so you have an opportunity to hear those. And we'll just kind of skip through those so you don't have to sit here watching me fumble through it. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. That's okay.
So then we also offer on the website and through the email a 10-minute guided meditation, right? Which is always designed to bring us into a place of self-awareness. So we learn how to speak to ourselves kindly, right? We learn what some of those internal tracks are so that we feel more connected to our own innate kindness, and that we know other people in the community are experiencing this. When we start having the conversation, eventually a sense of gratitude arises. And gratitude is actually one of the themes for the program. The next step is the 45-minute yoga session, which we will experience a brief version, a chair yoga version, at the end of this program. So you'll get a sense as to what the adaptations are for Love Your Brain, traumatic brain injury. All right. And then each class ends with a yoga nidra or a guided meditation, which we don't typically always do 20 minutes in class just for time. And a lot of people have difficulty sitting still or laying down for that long in a studio environment or on a yoga mat on the floor in their living room. So we have adapted to be very cognizant of that. The people who are eligible to sign up for this program are people who have a traumatic brain injury or concussion, who are between the ages of 15 and 70. They need to be able to move without assistance, so no wheelchair or cane. If they need a balance and prop support, we do have ways to offer recommendations for room setup, and we offer cues for that as well. People must be willing to participate in a group discussion. This is how we foster that sense of community, and need to be able to follow instructions and regulate intense emotions. Sometimes when we're talking about these themes that are new and foreign, we talk about, for example, intention, and that's something you're not really sure about or you don't really understand. It can be very frustrating. Right. And we are not physically in a room with a person who might be experiencing that frustration. So we do ask for people to be able to regulate. And you need to be willing and able to commit to all 6 classes. The first one is mandatory. Each class kind of builds off of the one before. Right. They are about an hour and a half, and the same time every week. So we do look to have that consistency. That's also a great way to build a practice and to feel the results of that practice, as well as really grow in connection to community. Okay. Another really important thing is caregivers or people who support someone who has a traumatic brain injury are also welcome in these classes. And the classes are also set up to have beautiful theming for caregivers, because it can be very challenging and isolating, as I'm sure we've all experienced at some point in our lives. Right. The yoga sequence, which you will experience in a few moments, is adapts specific poses to prevent dizziness and headaches. It offers similar movements in a similar sequence, so there is repetition. We use soft lighting and music. I actually choose to not use music at all in the mindset program itself. But we do that because people are sensitive to light and sound. And we use strategies to focus attention and release negative thoughts. And that comes from the theme and the way we cue the classes, which you'll experience. And we do use some group discussion and empowering themes to build community and resilience. Right. So after we go through, they get their weekly meditation, which introduces them into the theme. Right. We go into the class that's structured around that theme, and then we have a discussion. How can you integrate intention into your day, for example? And the conversations are always so fun to see, right? So what you'll see here is kind of like the best practices that we offer through this program. So you'll notice we use props. We normalize the use of props as part of your practice. The props really help to support physically the practice, but they also help with alignment to ensure that people are learning the poses through proper alignment. We integrate blocks, as you'll see in the second photo on the top, to help with transitions from floor to standing and standing to floor. We use props, as you will see in almost all the pictures, to help keep the neck and head kind of aligned with the shoulders, so that we are working to eliminate dizziness, right, and lightheadedness with that up and down sensation. We really use a lot of tactile integration. So really becoming aware of feeling the mat beneath your feet, noticing the finger pressing against the wall or the prop, right? To really bring the whole body experience in. We offer chair classes, right, and chair supports if people need any kind of assistance with balancing. And again, chair yoga classes are very common classes. So this is, again, normalizing the use of those props. When we are in person and we have the opportunity, with the permission of the participant, we will also offer loving adjustments to help the body relax and release some tension it might be holding. These are all approved and never done without the permission of the participant. So the mindset program has two kind of components. There is one that is just group discussion, and there is one that is group discussion and yoga. The group discussion is a 45-minute online meetup and group discussion. You get the 4 weekly emails with all the tools we outlined. It is for people with traumatic brain injury and their caregivers. And you have to be 15 to 70 years old. And we offer the program 4 times a year: spring, summer, fall, and winter. Then there's also the choice to do the 75-minute mindset program, which includes yoga and discussion. You get the email and the tools. It is designed for people who are post-TBI, their caregivers, and those who are 15 to 70 years old and who can move without the assistance of a wheelchair or a cane, right? So the big difference there is mobility. And again, the options are, or the classes are offered spring, summer, fall, and winter. Any questions about that? Okay. So Love Your Brain Yoga, as we have said, is designed for people with traumatic brain injury, including caregivers. And we have this really interesting way of introducing yoga and Love Your Brain into the healing process. So we have clinical affiliates, and that would be clinical studios, right? Where we introduce yoga really early into the recovery phase of yoga. So as you are moving, so if you're thinking of physical therapy, you can add these elements of yoga into whatever it is you're doing in PT. And through the clinical affiliate program, you can then, as a participant, join one of the community-based programs, which is either the in-studio or, in this case, the mindset program, which is offered online. And it gives you an opportunity to take what you started, what is familiar in your physical rehab, right, and bring it into a more day-to-day practice where you are developing a community and a network of people who are also going through something similar, right? And then once you graduate through that program, if you are affiliated with a studio, any affiliate studio in the country or Canada, will allow anyone who has a Love Your Brain certificate, who's gone through the 6-week program, to take classes at a discounted rate. So the affiliate studios will have specific classes that are Love Your Brain friendly and that are taught by Love Your Brain instructors. So they are what you would consider a general population class, but they do include the modifications that are appropriate for someone with a traumatic brain injury. So the room's going to be set up with lower light and softer music, right? We're going to have props as part of the practice. So it's a really good way to sustain a practice from beginning of care through however long it is you want to continue that practice. Right now, we have about 60 yoga studios across the country and a few places in Canada. And our hope is that by 2023, we will have affiliate studios in all 50 states. So a lot of growth for sure. And we're constantly working to strengthen the continuum of care. So here are some examples of some of our clinical affiliates across the country who are integrating the Love Your Brain program into the work that they're doing. The little hearts that you see, the white hearts that you see in the purple fields are where we have affiliate yoga studios. So, again, it's really important to remember that these programs are research-based. So, we have done a lot of research through Love Your Brain and have also worked with the existing body of information out there for people with traumatic brain injury and how yoga and mindfulness can be helpful, right? Love Your Brain is training yoga teachers, health professionals, and TBI advocates all over the country in this program and methodology that offers so much to the healing process, right? And then in addition to the classes, if you go to the Love Your Brain website, you'll see additional resources that include recorded yoga videos and meditations. So a lot of really great resources that are free and available online for anyone who wants to try them. So we're going to talk a little bit about impact. I love these little tree knobs here, right? One of the ways we work in class to communicate with the class and to allow the participant in the class to communicate with us without calling anyone out is to allow them to kind of check in with themselves at the beginning of the session, which we will do. Right. And then we ask if you feel like today you might be open for adjustments or hands-on adjustments, please flip your little card to yes or no. If you feel like today you just want to practice on your mat and feel into the poses through your own internal awareness, right? So a lot of these really sweet little things that we do. Here's some really fun stuff. There have been 372 Love Your Brain Yoga Fundamental series, and those are the studio series to date. There's 60 partner studios in 38 of the 50 states, 6 Canadian provinces, and 1 territory. 3,171 people with traumatic brain injury and their caregivers have participated in the Love Your Brain program with a rating of 9.3 out of 10. So we have room for improvement, but I think we're doing pretty well, which is really exciting to see. The Love Your Brain folks are so interested in feedback and learning new ways that we can adapt and evolve the program. And our training documents are called living documents. They're all online because as they make the changes to the documents, they want us to have them right away. And all of that comes from feedback. Their in-person outreach has engaged over 7,150 people. There have been 31 trainings with over 1,400 yoga teachers and clinicians. That's pretty impactful. All right. Participant demographics. People are generally about 44 years of age. The majority are female. The majority of people have experienced mild to severe head injury, light sensitivity, post-concussive syndrome, weakness in one side of the body, PTSD, and seizures are all things that are common to the people coming into this program. Okay. So one of the ways we are working in Love Your Brain to help improve the program and make it something that is going to be helpful is doing some research on impact. And here we've partnered with Dartmouth University on the feasibility and impact of a yoga pilot program on the quality of life for adults with acquired brain injury. And it's this, we have several of these, and if you are interested in reading the studies, I can make sure that they get sent out to you, no problem at all. But we'll just kind of click through a little bit. There's also a quantitative study on Love Your Brain, group-based yoga with psychoeducation intervention, right? And what that meant to folks with TBI and their caregivers. There's also a retrospective study on the accountability, feasibility, and effectiveness of Love Your Brain for people with TBI and their caregivers. And then there's best practices for adapting and delivering to the TBI community, right? So it's a growing body based on the findings. So when you come into the program, you, as a participant, you are asked to fill out a survey at the end where they ask you if you feel like you have improved in resilience, cognition, positive effect, or no improvement, right? So it's been very interesting to get that information back. And then they do whatever it is they do on their end to quantify that, right? And again, I'm not the expert on that, but I can find the right people for you if you have specific questions. So they've also worked on a qualitative evaluation that's in draft form right now, and it is an interview with 16 program participants talking about what it is they experience through the program. And that information will definitely be used to go back into helping to improve the offerings that we have, and is also part of a growing body of work that really connects yoga and meditation and mindfulness to the recovery process. Some of the things that we have found that are true to everyone is that most everyone has stated that they feel that the ease of participation was wonderful. They had an increased sense of belonging. They felt that they were in a sustained community connection. Their physical health, self-regulation, self-efficacy, and resilience all improved through these 6-week programs. And here's a brief discussion of those outcomes. I'll just give you a moment to just kind of glean through that. Okay. Any questions there? Okay. So again, in this study, we found increased sense of ease of participation, increased belonging, sustainability of community connection, physical health, self-regulation, self-efficacy, and resilience. So we're seeing some pretty standard results. We'll skip the meet our participants because we don't have sound, but I would love to make sure that that video gets to you. It's a very impactful conversation with a woman who went to one of the retreat programs with Love Your Brain, talking about her sense of personal growth. She talks very honestly and frankly about some of the challenges she has managing her day-to-day. She talks about some of the psychological effects of that and how coming to this retreat really not only gave her a sense of, oh, I'm not alone, right? But also now I have some tools. And I have some other things that I can try that I have control over and I can do, right? So it's a very powerful comment. So we'll make sure that we get that to you. So to help spread the word for Love Your Brain, please watch the crash reel and share that with anyone who you think might be a good candidate for one of these programs, right? We do have some Love Your Brain flyers that you can put out in your offices or in community spaces that talk about the program and why it is of value and why someone might be interested in joining it. And there are lots of ways to get involved and stay involved. You don't have to be a teacher, right, in order to work with Love Your Brain. Referring people over is a great way to be involved. But we're also a nonprofit. So there are times when we find we need some money. And they have launched this beautiful Mindful March initiative, which is the primary fundraiser for Love Your Brain. All of the affiliate studios, all of the instructors are encouraged to, or actually required to do little mini fundraisers within their own communities. And then Love Your Brain does the 31-day meditation challenge and a 10-day meditation challenge online for a $56 donation for the 31-day challenge and $28 donation for the 10-day challenge. And the meditations are absolutely lovely, and they are really increasing the number of meditations that they have online, and the instructors who are leading those meditations are absolutely amazing. So keep that in mind, right? Does anyone have any questions? That was a lot of information. Yeah. I will share one thing that I learned that I was most surprised by as I was walking into my very first training experience or teaching experience with Love Your Brain, right? We had just the tiniest amount of information on the people who would be coming into our program. And they all kind of walked in like, you know, kind of nervous, kind of looking around. We had the mat set up with the props, and they weren't really sure which one they wanted to be at or what they wanted to do. And by the end of the first class, we were in tree pose, and everyone they were leaning on each other for support. So just being in that group environment, there is such an amazing shift that begins to happen for people. And the learning to lean on and be supported by others, is truly impactful. And one of the things I learned from going through being one of the instructors is that I too now have a community that can support me, right? Even though my brain injuries were in the distant past, they still affect me day to day, and they certainly left their impact on my family. So being able to give back to a community is pretty wonderful thing, and to know that you are a part of that community, and you can put faces and experiences to that, is not only heartwarming but very, very fulfilling. So once again, I'm truly grateful to have had the opportunity to share this information with you. I know we covered so much in this presentation, but hopefully there was some new information. Right. And if you have any questions, we are more than happy to get some additional information to you.
Okay, so we do have one question so far. Barbara was wondering, so the 6 weeks class is free, but you mentioned something about how having a certificate of having participated in a 6-week class would allow a participant to attend at a reduced rate.
Yes. So that is, yes, you go through the participants go through the program for free, right? And then they get when they've completed this 6-week program, they have to be at 5 or more, I believe, of the 6 classes to get the certificate. Your name goes into a list, and then any affiliate yoga studio that is teaching a Love Your Brain friendly class, and it has to be a Love Your Brain friendly class, they can take the class, the student can take the class at that studio for a discounted rate. I know in North Carolina, our studio, it was $5 a class for any graduate of the program, and our normal class rates were $20 a class. So it was a pretty significant reduction. I don't know if I think that's universal. I don't know if those prices are going to change as we move out of COVID and back into studios. But that's definitely where we were. At that point. Great question. Does that answer it? Clarify? Great.
Yeah, I thought it did. Barbara, is that good, or do you, any other?
Am I unmuted?
Yep, you're good now. Yep.
Okay. So if I have this correct, then the clients would attend this 6-week class online or when you were in the studio,
Mm-hmm.
and then after that class,
Mm-hmm.
then they would attend a similar type of class, but then would pay the discounted rate.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's only for the Love Your Brain friendly classes that are offered at the studio by the Love Your Brain friendly instructors. And most studios have a minimum of 4 instructors. So the classes will not be exactly like a Love Your Brain friendly class because they are considered general admissions classes, so general public classes, but they do include all of the adaptations that you would need in a class. And the instructors will know who is from Love Your Brain and will be able to assess pretty quickly. Ooh, okay, so we've got someone in here. We really want to focus on balance today instead of maybe working on inversions, right? So yeah.
So you would have a mix. It's a mixed class. It's not all TBI clients.
Exactly. Now, I do know, I will say from our experience in our studio, a lot of the people who had gone through our program would come to class, right? And they would come and specifically to meet and practice with each other as they continued in that sense of community. So there would oftentimes be 4 or 5 people who had gone through one of the Love Your Brain programs at the studio, and maybe 3 or 4 people who were not there because they had gone through Love Your Brain. So the mix can be pretty interesting. And I know our studio had talked about if there was enough interest of having a Love Your Brain class that was specifically for Love Your Brain grads. So there might be some studios out there who do that. We didn't, because we were so new, we didn't have enough people yet to fill classes. But that's something that people can look to. Yeah. In the studio. Yeah.
And that's maybe a good segue for me to just mention that North Dakota, we are still looking for a studio to partner with. We have just one yoga instructor certified in North Dakota right now. She works for Onward Therapy in Fargo. She's a speech language pathologist. But if someone's interested, if you know a yoga instructor interested in being certified, you can have them reach out to us and we can work on possibly helping pay fees. We did purchase a lot of yoga mats with our logo on them too that we can offer for classes, things like that. So we definitely want to find a studio that wants to adopt this in North Dakota, more than one even, all over. But yes, that is kind of, we have been pushing the Love Your Brain thing because it is important to us, but we really need a studio to get on board with us. So
Carly, I have an idea for a studio.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can email you. Yeah, I remember thinking about that at certification because I think Etchi Yoga with Brenda Weiler would be fabulous.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Yeah. I'm looking at getting certified as well, but I'm not a yoga instructor either, but I want to take the training. So possibly if they wanted to take the training with me or something or do it together, but and there's going to be a speaker at Mind Matters too. Jenna is going to speak at Mind Matters too on this, but yeah, anyone that knows of anybody.
Yeah. One of the things about the Love Your Brain training, for any yoga instructors who want to go through the training, they do offer scholarships. So you can go through your first training without paying the fee. And then what happens is your first full 6-week program, the instructor does not get paid to pay back the scholarship, right? And then, so my first one I paid for and then got paid for my first session that I taught. The second training I went through with the studio, we went with the scholarship. So the second time I taught the class, I did not get paid. But they do a really good job of trying to make it accessible. They offer trainings all over the country. So, and a lot of the yoga studios that are hosting the training are also Love Your Brain affiliate studios, and offer some great ideas on places to stay locally if you're traveling into town, affordable, safe, close to the studio. There are always great recommendations for places to eat, and as well. You're doing a lot of work that Friday through Sunday. there's a lot of yoga, a lot of discussion, a lot of kind of going through what you would be teaching and what your participants would be going through in a 6-week program done in like a 20-hour training. So it's really enriching, very valuable. And I think even if you aren't going to end up teaching a program, it's fascinating to experience if there's any interest in how the mind-body connection works through yoga and meditation. Yeah. Great questions. And I'm excited there might be a studio.
Yeah.
Yes. Anything I can do to help, let me know.
I regret saying that, but
I don't know. We'll see. North Carolina is kind of a hot spot right now. We're in Orange County, Chapel Hill, so you might not want me traveling for a while, but I'm happy to help in any way I can with resources, information. Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions? This is a great discussion. Any thoughts, insights, anything that surprised you? No? All right. Well, then I will ask you to give me about 60 seconds to transition my camera from presentation display mode to practice mode. And then would love to introduce a quick yoga session. About how much time do I have, Carly?
You have as long as you'd like, but technically we usually go till 3. So it's 2:25 right now here.
Oh, okay. So we've got, about half hour. Perfect timing. All right. So if you want to stretch your legs, rearrange your room a little bit to give your chair more space, please feel free to. You will lose visual of me for just a moment, but I will be right back. All right, can everybody see me or hear me? Okay. So welcome to my home studio. You'll notice first and foremost that it is set up to be pretty plain. We want as few distracting backgrounds as possible when we're in this online environment. So typically in my Love Your Brain classes, I even take my little macrame off. Right, so that it's a very plain background. And it's really set up with all of the essentials, right? So we have a chair for balance, a yoga mat, a blanket, which can be used to help support the knees underneath the body when we are on the hands and knees, so any sensitivity there. It's also great to support the low back if there's any low back pain, and it's great to place under the head whenever we're laying down if there's any sensitivity to the floor beneath. We always have blocks available to help with transitions from moving up to down. So we recommend a blanket and 2 blocks for every class, right? The Love Your Brain, a standard for the mindset program online is if you don't have yoga bricks, paper towel rolls, toilet paper rolls, boxes of brownies, soup cans, whatever you have that is a flat base that you can use to press on. That's about, about 8.5 inches high, right? So very, very aware that not everyone will have these props at home. And then we also keep bolsters handy for the in-studio options because they really allow for some additional softness and give some additional mobility in some of the poses if there's any difficulty. that people are experiencing with laying down flat, particularly, or leaning forward. For some people, that can be very scary, and we want to keep the head in alignment with the shoulders and the neck, so we aren't doing a whole lot of this and getting dizzy. Those bolsters can be great underneath the body. We will not use bolsters today in class, right? Also, you'll notice the lighting is pretty light. It's not super bright. I am wearing clothes that contrast the environment, so it is a little easier to see me. We try not to wear bright patterns, because that can be very distracting to people. Bright colors generally are okay, but certainly ask that you ask the preference of the people in the class for what feels comfortable for them. Always check in with the class to make sure that the light is right. If you are using music, that the music is the right volume. And generally, the music we will use will be music that does not have words to it. So a lot of the music on the playlist that I've experienced with Love Your Brain is kind of more healing music. So it's playing on the 9 tones of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. I think it's the solfeggio or solfeggio. I never say it correctly. Tones, which are directly correlated to healing frequencies within the body. So those are always there. They're very soothing. It's kind of like new agey, but very soothing, like spa music in the background without words. All right. So now that we have our setup, just want to make sure by a show of thumbs, everyone can hear me. Right. Excellent. Thank you. Please know if you are blacked out, I cannot see you. Thank you. If you have a question, please chat. Please put the question in chat, and then I will ask Carly if you would call that out to me. And I will be happy to, because I am far away from the screen in this particular setup. I won't be able to see those, but I'm happy to.
Good. I'm watching.
Thank you. I will be happy to offer those. All right. So we're going to go ahead, and without further ado, we're going to get started. And I'm going to welcome you to this brief introduction, right, which does not really include the exact flow that you would get in a class, but will highlight where it is we've made modifications for the TBI community to feel safe, held, and seen in their practice. So we'll start just by asking you to find a comfortable position and seat on your chair where you can feel your feet on the floor. Maybe notice your sits bones and thighs connecting to the chair, right? Taking a moment to notice if you're seated leaning forward or you're slumped, right? And maybe take a full breath in, grow the spine tall, rolling the shoulders back and down so that the shoulders and hips kind of come into alignment. That might not feel super natural. Just give it a try for 2 or 3 breaths and just notice how with each exhale, the body starts to settle. And then I'll ask you to find a fixed point in front of you to soften your gaze, right? Or to close the eyes as we come into our grounding exercise. This is the calm exercise that I told you I would introduce later in the practice. Every class starts with calm. Bringing awareness to your chest, take a full breath in and out as you begin to gather your attention. Make sure that the breath is at a steady, comfortable pace for you. And begin to notice your body breathing. Your chest gently expands and softens in sync with your breath. And just notice your breath gently moving on the inhale and the exhale. And now take a moment to notice your arms, feeling them heavy and at ease by your sides. Notice with curiosity, not judgment, any sensation in your shoulders, elbows, and palms. And as best you can, relax your arms about 5% more. And now bring awareness to your legs, feeling the steady connection to your seat on the chair. Notice your feet on the floor. And begin to notice how your legs feel from the inside out. And then with kind attention, notice the state of your mind. Does it feel focused and at ease? Or perhaps distracted or tired? Welcome whatever is most present for you, as we all acknowledge where we're starting from today. And then go ahead and begin to cross your hands over your elbows, giving your arms a gentle massage, slowly moving up towards the shoulders. And then slide your hands to rest at your heart, feeling into this caring place. And welcome whatever it is your heart may be holding on to right now. And feel how each of us is not alone despite the physical distance between us. Notice here how we are all showing up for each other from a place of care. And as you're ready, take a nice deep breath in through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Gently fluttering your eyes open as you reacclimate to the light in the room. Perhaps taking a moment to look around your room, noticing whatever it is you see. Maybe interacting with the room from a different place of mental thought and feeling from the heart. And then we'll go ahead and bring our hands to the tops of the thighs. And just gently begin to find a circular rotation through the hips. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see the alignment better, right? But what we want is here to make sure the shoulders and the hips stay aligned, so we aren't kind of doing one of these things, right? We're working very slowly to start to loosen up the spine. The neck is neutral. And then maybe move a few times in the opposite direction. Right. Just noticing what it feels like to move through your spine. And then go ahead and bring yourself back to center. We'll leave the left hand in front of the chair, right? Palm touching the chair right next to it. And with the inhale, turn the right palm out, sweep it wide, and bring the arm up overhead. Right? And exhale, come back down to a nice tall spine. With your inhale, swoop the opposite arm up. Exhale, come to a nice long lean through your side body. Here we're keeping the legs connected to the mat. So the movement is through the upper body. The neck is steady. Inhale, come back to center. And let's do that one more time on the opposite side, just noticing how we're moving slowly and deliberately with intention. And we're taking a moment at the end of each pose to feel our breath moving through the body. Exhale, come back to center. Roll the shoulders up, back, and down. Right. And then because right and left can be very confusing, especially backwards, right? In class environments, we typically orient people to the clock on that wall and the door on this wall, right? So in these situations, I mirror as much as I can what I'm instructing you to do. But then I also invite people to say, come to my plant side, my prop side. So you might be moving in the opposite direction of me, but it keeps me from mixing up my cues of right or left because I have a brain injury and I do that sometimes, even when I'm not giving instruction, right? So we really use props to help orient to the side of the room, right? So here would be a time where I would say, inhale, bring the arms up overhead. And exhale to orient our directions and instructions. I'm going to ask you to bring the arm down that matches my arm coming toward the plant wall. We'll direct toward the plant wall here, right? And inhale, come up. And then with the exhale, we'll bring our arms down to the prop side, right? And if you want to look around and see if there's a focal point in your room that helps orient you to the plant side or the prop side, but in your space, you are welcome to do that. The next exhale, we're going to bring the prop side hand to the plant side thigh, and the plant side arm is going to come back behind us into a side body twist. Right? The neck can stay neutral, looking over your front shoulder, this shoulder facing the camera, if that feels good to you. If you have the mobility and the flexibility, you can slowly look so that you are looking directly in front of you, your twisted shoulder, or you can start to look back, finding where it is that it feels good for you, knowing everyone's going to feel this a little differently. And then with the exhale, we're going to go ahead and move in the opposite direction. So the plant hand comes to the prop thigh. The prop hand goes behind the body. And we just play around here with what feels good with our neck, right? Again, maybe finding focal points that you can shift your eyes to. The next natural exhale will come back to center. Right? And then we'll go ahead and bring the right ear toward the right shoulder and come back to center. And exhale, we'll bring ourselves toward the opposite stretch, whatever feels good. And come back to center. And then here we're going to interlace the fingers in front of our heart, the palms facing us. With the exhale, extend the arms straight and shoulder height, or as close to shoulder height as you can get. Inhale, bring the arms up overhead. Exhale, allow the arms to come back and down. Right? Beautiful. Inhale, fingers interlace at the heart. Exhale, we extend the hands straight in front of us. Lift with the breath overhead. And exhale, release. One more time. Inhale. Extend the arms forward as we exhale. Inhale, lift the arms, noticing the side body lift. Exhale, feel the shoulders soften and relax as the hands come back to the thighs. And just take a moment here to notice what you may be feeling, what may have shifted for you. And then I'm going to turn to the side. You are going to stay right where you are. And we're going to come into a chair version of cat-cow pose. Right? So again, you want to make sure you feel your feet on the floor, maybe crunching your toes up a little bit, scrunching them and just feeling the support of the floor. Bringing awareness to the hips and the sits bones. With the inhale, bring the belly button to the spine. And with the exhale, roll the hips forward, creating a little bit of a pelvic tilt. We're keeping our shoulders aligned with our hips. Our neck is neutral. Inhale, come into that cat pose. And exhale into cow. Okay. And you're going to notice here that focusing the eyes on a point helps you keep the eyes focused as the spine begins to feel this beautiful movement. If you want to add the head into the movement, you have the option on the exhale as we come into cat pose to bring the chin toward the chest. With the inhale, as you come into cow pose, you can bring the head up just a little bit. So we aren't crunching the neck back. We're gently lifting the chin so that our eyes can look toward the ceiling. And exhale. And if you try that and you're not a fan, I get it. Go ahead and allow the head to stay straight. And on the next natural inhale, we'll inhale, coming all the way to a nice tall spine. And then here, once again, feeling the feet on the floor, bringing them hip distance. We're going to place the hands on the edge of the chair and find ourselves coming to standing. Right? So when we stand in yoga, we want to just become aware of our feet. So we're going to gently rock from side to side, feeling the outer and inner edges of the feet. Just noticing where it is they fall, right? And then coming forward and back onto the toes and the heels. And you don't have to go very far, because if you go too far, you might lose your balance, right? But here we're finding our feet so that we know the very base level of our standing pose starts with our feet. When our feet are connected, everything else aligns a little easier. So here we are. I'm going to come to the side so you can see. A lot of times we come into standing and we're kind of arched forward or slumped back, right? What we want to do is come into as tall a spine as is accessible to us in this moment today, knowing it doesn't have to be perfect. We want to start where we are, recognizing that this is a moment and that it will begin to shift for us, right? Just for now, focus on those feet and drawing the shoulders over the hips, just like they were when we were in our seated pose. With the inhale, bring the arms up overhead. Exhale, bring the hands to the thighs as you gently bend the knees, right? So we're going to come into a half forward fold here. And we do this in this program so there isn't a whole lot of up and down, right? So if we were going to transition to the floor, just as an interlude, right, we would come to this half fold, bring the hands to the bricks, the neck stays neutral, and bring the feet to the floor. And then extend back into whatever pose it is we're getting ready to move to, right? So here would be a place where if you had bricks, we would come into this half fold with the bricks. But since we don't, we're going to come to our thighs. And then hamstrings are likely to be very tight here. So we will always encourage that bent knee for that first half forward fold, right? And the neck is neutral. With the inhale, press the feet into the mat and rise through standing, rolling the shoulders back and down. You're going to come to the side of your chair. Then go ahead and find standing one more time. We're going to bring the plant side foot wide of the shoulders. And then we're going to bring the prop side foot wide of the shoulders. So we're coming into a wide leg stance here. And notice how that might feel more supportive to you. And if that is the case, feel free to do any of your standing poses right here. Right? Wiggle the toes and just kind of feel into it. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to take our prop side toes and turn them to the edge of the mat. Right? And the plant side toes are going to stay right where they are. With the exhale, we're going to bend the prop side knee. I'm going to take a slightly wider stance here, right? You can place your hand on the chair for support, and then go ahead and lift the plant side arm a little higher. So ideally, our arms are going to be shoulder height, but if we need that chair for support, lean into it. Use it for balance. This is a balance pose, Warrior Two, okay? And it may be new to a lot of people in the class. So we encourage them to hold it for a moment to just sort of feel into it and give everybody a chance to kind of find the pose. Okay. And then we straighten the prop side knee, bringing the hands to the hips. And then you can roll the toes from the prop side back to face your monitor or viewing device. And once again, we're in our wide stance. You can bring the hand back to the chair as we turn the toes on the plant side, right, to face the plants. And then with the exhale, we'll come into this wonderful warrior pose, lifting your lead arm when you're ready. Maybe if you feel stable, lifting the arm up off the chair, or just lifting a finger or two, just feeling around. Taking a nice deep breath in through the nose and an exhale through the mouth. Bring your hand back to the chair for support. Bring the plant side hand to the hip. Straighten the plant side knee and come back into our wide leg stance. Take a full breath in, bringing the arms up overhead. Exhale, bring the hands to the thighs, bending the knees gently as we come into a half forward fold. If you feel like your hamstrings are opening up and you want to place the brick in front of you and come a little bit deeper, you are welcome to. If there's any dizziness or nausea here, no problem. Come back up. All right. Take a full breath, breathing in and exhale out. Inhale. Once again, we're going to come up to standing, rolling the shoulders back and down. Right? And now we're going to build into what we just did. So we're going to come into Warrior Two by bringing our prop side hand to the chair. And then we're going to bring the toes to face the props. The plant side toes are going to stay nice and straight facing the front of the mat. With the exhale, we're going to come into Warrior Two, bending the prop side knee. If you feel like you can bring the hands up off the chair, coming into Warrior Two, and if this feels like this is the pose you want to stay in today, stay right here for a moment, right? If you want to try to build onto it, bring the prop side hand to the chair. Inhale. The plant side hand is going to come up as the bent knee straightens. And exhale, come down. Right? And inhale, lift through that bent knee. And exhale, come down. If you want to try a balance challenge, bring both arms up overhead as the knee straightens. And exhale, find that Warrior Two. Beautiful. Plant side hand comes to the hip. Chair, the prop side hand comes to the chair. Bring the toes forward, right? Come into the variation of a standing pose that feels good to you, whatever that is. And with your inhale, bring the arms up overhead. Exhale, come into a half forward fold. If you want to go deeper, you are welcome to bring a brick in front of you and come deeper into the fold. Taking your time, not pushing it, listening to your body. Inhale, rise halfway. And exhale. We'll go ahead and come all the way to standing, rolling the shoulders up, back, and down. What we do to one side in yoga, we must do to the other. So let's get ready, right? And we're going to bring our prop side hand back to the chair. And we're going to step the plant side toes out so that they're facing the plant side of the room. The toes on the prop side, the foot, are facing in front of us. With the exhale, we bend the knee. And usually by the time I get through that instruction, everybody in class has Warrior 2 down and they're ready to just go into Warrior 2 and they beat me there, which I absolutely love. So go ahead and find where it is you want your hands to be, supported by the chair or really extending, supporting through the body. With the inhale, hand on the chair or lifted. We'll bring our hands up overhead, straightening the knee. Exhale, we'll come down into Warrior 2. Inhale, let's go ahead and rise. And exhale, we'll lower. Bring the hands to the hips, straighten the legs, and bring the toes to face the monitor. And we'll pause right here. You'll notice that the instructions are pretty simple. So we're not calling attention and awareness to all of the cues you would normally call out in a yoga class, aligning the knee and the ankle, right, rotating the hip out. We're watching as instructors to make sure that no one's going to do anything that's going to injure themselves, and we'll modify a cue for the general class to help remind people to not be here because that's not going to feel good. So we say if you're feeling this something funky in your ankle, come back up and maybe step a little wider until you find that place where the knee and the ankle align, right? But we don't call that out up front because that can be way too many instructions. So keeping it simple and repetitive is kind of what we do there. For the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and come back to our chairs, right? And we'll go ahead and do a brief closing because I want to be very respectful of the time in the schedule, right? So here we would come back into our cat-cow with the instruction to feel the feet on the floor, the body resting on the chair, hands on the thighs, and just start moving with the breath through cat-cow. So pressing the hands into the thighs, bringing the belly button to the spine. And then with the exhale, arching the hips forward, drawing the shoulders back and down, right? And then here, if you want to add and include the head, feel free to, right? And then once again, we'll come to a nice tall spine. We'll bring the plant side leg so that the ankle crosses over the knee, right? Coming into a seated variation of figure 4, just feeling some opening through the hip. And we would stay here for about 5 breaths. And then lower the leg. And then we'll do the same to the other side, bringing the prop side knee up, the ankle over the knee base. And then with the exhale, we'll come back into center. Normally when we're on the floor, we can come into a tuck to release the spine. In a chair sequence, that's a little harder. So what we do is, I'll come to the side so you can see, bring our forearms to the thighs, keeping the neck and spine long and straight. And taking a few breaths with the cue to be aware of the breath in the belly. And for anyone who wants to explore coming a little bit lower, they can bring their hands to a brick or to the shins or the floor. Just feeling the head soften. And with the inhale, gently rise, coming all the way to standing, rolling the shoulders back and down. And then here we'll go ahead and find a focal point to fix our eyes on or close them gently. Taking a breath in through the nose and maybe breathing out through the mouth. Feeling the body supported by the floor and the chair. Giving yourself a moment to become aware of any of the physical sensations you are currently aware of. Noticing them with curiosity. Welcoming them as you explore them. Go ahead and gently begin to flutter the eyes open, reacclimating to the light in the room. The big inhale will bring the arms up overhead, palms touch. With the exhale, draw the hands heart center. Bow to the light in yourself, to the light in each other. Namaste. Now, typically we would bring in the theme of the class into the meditation at the end, but for the sake of time, I just regrounded you into your own personal experience of the practice, maybe recognizing any shift you had experienced. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a very quick sampling of how the poses are modified to be safe and supportive. If you have any questions, let me know.
Anyone have any questions? That was great. It was nice to see an example for me to.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. It was very condensed, right?
Yeah. No,
We just did one pose in each sequence. Yeah.
Like
But it's, yeah, it is.
left and right, because that is confusing for a lot of survivors.
Yeah, that's confusing to everyone, you know. It just is one of those things we've learned in Zoom. The other thing we've learned is to slow down the pace of the class to accommodate for any lag time. So if it seemed slow, that was intentional, right? Because we can't always see where everybody is. Yeah. But anyway, there are no questions. I want to thank you all so much for your.
Look like I'm not seeing any in the chat.
Okay. Well, thank you
and
all so.
Find our studio and ask for tips.
Yes, I will come visit. I promise.
Yeah,
Any excuse to do yoga.
Now it's 20 below zero today, but
Yeah.
you can come when it's warm.
Yeah, whenever your warm time is. Yeah, it's 50 here, and I've got all the heaters on. Yeah, I'm a little chilly. Yeah, but anyway, have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you all so much for your time and for letting me share this. True joy. I will make sure that we get the links to you so that you guys have those as examples. I'm sorry the volume didn't work.
That's okay.
And if there's anything else you need from me or Love Your Brain, Carly, you know how to get in touch with us, and we're happy to do what we can.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Namaste.
Namaste.
Bye.